We met in September and we got married the next June. He asked me on a date. We went up the canyon and had.
Well, the others went away and we stayed by the campfire. We kind of forgot about the others.
Oh. Well, I was impressed that instead of playing games with everybody else, that he came and was around the fire and helping me with taking care of the foil dinners.
I haven't helped with dinners much since, but when we played that game where you bigger and better.
Bigger and better, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we started out with like a safety pin or something like that, and then you just go and, if you've played the game, you go and trade that for something bigger and better. And we ended up with the largest thing, which was a washing machine. Somebody was wanting their washing machine hauled to DI, and so...
It probably didn't work, but...
Well, it didn't matter. It was still the biggest thing.
So that was a good date.
Yeah.
Probably a good thing that our first date wasn't a dance,
Yeah.
because I didn't do well on a later date that was a dance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's true. We didn't coordinate well at dances. So anyway.
I told her I wanted to see her, so I said, I got to talk to you.
So we saw each other, studied together every day till we went home for Christmas.
Yeah, I asked her if she'd like to go to Montana for Christmas, and she said no, that she wanted to be at home with her family. So that was kind of a downer, but I figured out an excuse to come down from Montana to where she lives in Firth, and after she'd been there a couple of days and saw her family, and said, well, I'm going back to Montana, you want to come? And this time she said yes, I believe.
Yeah.
Now, someone told me that a girl would propose in leap years, and it's probably not true, but I thought maybe I should ask just in case. So I asked her, and she said yes, and I just went back to the basement where I was staying at my grandma's, and I just remember thinking, what have you done now? We weren't through this yet, because when a couple of weeks before, I would call her up, and she was down in Firth, and I was in Montana working on the ranch, and we would just talk, and I just mentioned that my mother asked me to shave my mustache off, and I didn't think she'd have any feelings about it, but she said, well, if you do. You see, we'd already had the pictures taken, right?
Yeah.
And she'd sent them out with the
All
mustache.
announcements.
And she said, well, if you do, the wedding's off. And so I didn't shave it off, but she convinced me. She tells me that she was serious, but I'm not sure I believe she was, but she says she was. I could have put one of these fake ones on.
Yeah.
Maybe that'd get me by.
Probably not. Grandpa, after he'd come back from the military, where he'd been in Fort Benning, then we were living in Idaho Falls in an apartment. And about middle of February, he puts an ad in the Thrifty Nickel, which is just a weekly advertisement kind of newspaper. And the ad said, looking for basement home to buy, and with the phone number. So we were contacted, and a lady said, well, there's a basement home just right next to our home, and it's for sale. So we made an offer on it, and they accepted the offer. We went down to Blackfoot and talked to the people that had a lien on it, and so we paid another $500 and did the closing. But then we never heard from anybody. Nobody gave us a key. Nobody said, it's now yours. You can go in. We'd gone through the closing, so we figured it was ours. So my dad went with us, and he says, you just have to take possession. So we did. We broke the lock, cut the lock off, and went in and took possession of this basement home. That's where we lived. That was in 73, and by 76 is when we had actually built the frame and finished the exterior of the home for the main level. So that was our first home.
It took us 7 years to do the top. We lived in the bottom while we worked on the main part. And finally we moved upstairs after a while. Well, it had to do with commitment, because it took 7 years to finish it. And it wasn't worth much until it was completed. And I read a book, an 8th grade book, about how to frame up carpentry. My father was a carpenter, and his father was a carpenter. And I said, I understand that, I can do that. See, my father died when I was 7, and so I had to learn it on my own, so to speak. But, and then I had a friend that helped me get into flooring, carpets, and linoleum, vinyl, floors, which I've been in all my life. And so there was some spin-off knowledge that I gained, and eventually I went into floors.
But there were times when a serious question would come up on how to do something, and through prayer, Grandpa felt like his father was helping him to see how to do things like a split stairway, where you go down so far and then you split and go down farther. And that was just, so yes, it was a journey.
I tried to weigh the advantage when a decision came up on how to do something in construction. In floors particularly, but anything. I would weigh in my mind the different advantages of the different options and try and sometimes I would pray, and without exception, an answer came. The answer came, and it came quick and soon. That has been with me all my life.
It's hard to say what you might do differently, but I just felt like, I personally felt like we were doing the best we could do, and we were trying to follow the Spirit. And I would like to share one quick story.
You're supposed to tell the truth.
Well, it is true. So Brian was like 1.5 years, and Virginia, of course, was about 3 years old. And Brian, I had gone to a primary meeting, and so Grandpa was watching the kids, right? But he wanted to work on the house. So he was up on the roof. And here he would look over, and here was this little Brian's head right up at the edge of the roof. And so he would go over.
Standing on the ladder.
Yeah,
he went up the ladder,
clear to the roof. And so he took him down, tried to get him busy and get Virginia to play with him, whatever, right? And so he looked over again pretty soon, and yep, there's that little head again. So he went down, and this time he got a rope. He brought both of the kids up and tied the rope around their waist and tied him to the chimney. So here they could watch Grandpa look all over the neighborhood because they were so high in the air and they were happy and he could do what he wanted to do. Anyway, so.
That was true. Well, what truly matters is the family, is my wife and my kids. That's what truly matters. And other things wear out, but the kids, that's what truly matters, is family.
I've always told my kids, especially if they're contentious with each other, is that God sent each of you to our family because He knows that it will take each of you working together, supporting each other, helping each other to help us all get back and live with Heavenly Father again. And I've just always felt that way. And that He sent each of the children for a purpose to our family. Something that I've found the most joy and happiness is in temple attendance and family history and connecting families beyond just our current family. That's been a great joy, and the opportunity I've had to work in the humanitarian center has been, and that's service to others that have needs that we can't necessarily meet one-on-one with these people, but in a combined community effort, it helps a lot of people. Grandpa started with me in 2012, and he was there for a couple of years, the humanitarian center.
She would pay to work there. She likes it so much. It's a good thing they don't know that. They might charge. Each one of our grandkids is important. Our family would not be complete without each and every one. They are somebody, and when they get together with their cousins, they have a built-in effect on each other, and no one can tell them that they're a nobody. They are somebody. Are we done?